Memphis Success, episode 30 with Rick Roland of the Cleaning Authority.
And that's why most people go into franchises, because it's low risk. They're proven if you do your homework. And the risk is relatively low. Sure, your royalty payments is something that could be in your pocket versus, paying to the franchisor. But hey, you got to weigh the risk benefit.
Want to be successful in business? Listen to Memphis Success, the voice of Memphis entrepreneurs. Be prepared to be challenged and inspired to dream big and take immediate action now.
This episode is sponsored by Cheers Creative, a local creative agency right here in the Mid-South. And their motto is clear messaging plus great design creates trackable results. Right now, they're offering for free their brand journal. So I just encourage you to visit cheerscreative.com, sign up to receive this free brand journal, and you will be amazed. So guys, let's go ahead and get to the show. Memphis Go-Getters, welcome to Memphis Success, the voice of Memphis entrepreneurs. Hello, my name is Darnell Reed, and I interview local entrepreneurs right here in the Mid-South to share their story and to inspire you to chase your dreams. And today on our show, we have Mr. Rick Roland with the Cleaning Authority. I'm so excited that he's on our show. He's a native of Clarksdale, Mississippi. He used to work several years in the pharmaceutical industry, but for the past 5 to 6 years, he has been the owner of the Cleaning Authority franchise. And let me just tell you a little bit about his business. I'm actually a client of his. He's been serving my house, and his team has been cleaning my home probably for the past 3 years, and they've been doing a fantastic job. So I definitely had to get him on the show just to kind of share his experience and his knowledge as a franchise owner, as an entrepreneur in the cleaning industry. So with that being said, Mr. Roland, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Had a great day today. A lot of good work, and it's been wonderful.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you for joining the show. I know you have tons of experience and knowledge that you can definitely share to my audience about entrepreneurship, about owning a franchise, and so forth, and all that entails. So I know you're originally from the parts of Mississippi, but you told me that you've been in Memphis for a very long time. So what is the first thing that really comes to your mind when you just think about Memphis and entrepreneurship?
Well, as I mentioned, my wife and I have lived in Memphis for most of our adult life. She works at Briarcrest, and I'm fortunate to have this opportunity to own this business. But Memphis, and the reason we chose to come back to Memphis was there's just a lot of untapped opportunity here. There's a lot of tradition. It's the type of environment that you can really excel in if you put in the hard work and you get out of the box. Okay, but yet respect the tradition. So you've got to have a mix of both. You can't come in here, and try to change everything overnight, but at the same time you can't get stuck the way things used to be. So Memphis for me means just untapped opportunity.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I believe there's just so much opportunity still here in the city and things that we can do. So with that being said, I know I just gave a real brief introduction about you, but if you're at a networking event and you meet someone, how do you normally explain to them what you do?
Well, it's very simple. It's not rocket science. We're a residential commercial cleaning company, and we primarily are residential, but we do have a small percentage of commercial cleaning, but we are not in the janitorial business as of yet. We're still, getting our feet on the ground there, but plain and simple, we're just a residential commercial cleaning service, and we strive to be the best in the county.
Okay. So I know when we briefly talked earlier, you told me that you had spent several years in the pharmaceutical industry. But if you can, just take me back to that time when you really decided just to kind of take that leap of faith and move out of corporate America and become an entrepreneur with your franchise.
Well, and fortunately, Darnell, I've had the opportunity to serve on a franchise advisory board and some other opportunities just to share, why we do what we do. And I hope this helps a lot of other people. But when you're in corporate America for as long as I was, at some point, for me, it was a downsizing issue where the industry was in a downsizing mode. And people, you had to look beyond what you were comfortable with to look what you could do. And for me, it was just, I worked for a lot of companies and made them a lot of money. The bottom line is, and I've talked to a lot of people that are in the franchise business, and you get to a point in your career, and I'm 57, where you just say, you know what? And I don't mean any disrespect, but I've made a lot of money for a lot of people, and I'm ready to make money for myself.
Right.
Period. The end. And I know a lot of young entrepreneurs in Memphis and all around the area say the same thing. Hey, I've done it for a long time. I'm ready to take charge, to make my own decisions, to take the risk, but yet drive it the way I want it to be driven. Period.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely true. With I guess what they say, if you're not chasing your dreams, you're help building someone else's dreams.
Correct. Absolutely, I agree.
So, okay, so at that point in time, you were deciding to jump into entrepreneurship. But what made you decide franchising was the way for you, and then particularly this particular industry?
Well, it was actually, I went through, and for those out there, there are consultants that you can work with that will guide you through the process of what's right for you. And fortunately, I met a consultant who went through the process over several months to choose which, where I wanted to go as far as a franchise or a business owner, et cetera. And so I strongly recommend that. And then for me, to be a business owner or entrepreneur, I needed something that was already generating revenue, a little bit at least, to live. But yet also there's a fork in the road there where you can go brick and mortar, and you have to have a lot of capital to get into that business, i.e. restaurants, et cetera, or you can go into the service industry, which does it generally.
I think you were sharing about, I guess, the different options that you have between brick and mortar. Okay.
Yeah, and what I want to share with everybody in the audience is you need to make a decision, whether you go out on your own or you go the franchise route. And then there's a couple of decisions you need to make based on the capital that you have and how much you want to invest. So I chose the lesser capital investment, but yet, same opportunity the way I saw it. And a lot of people ask me, why did you go franchise route versus just doing it on your own? That's a great question. However, I chose the franchise route because you get a lot of support from these franchisors, i.e. technical support as far as software. We have a tremendous software program that we use. We clean 600 customers almost, and we do 50 to 60 homes a day. So to organize all that, the software we have, they actually clock in and out of homes. It calculates their drive time, their prep time. It does everything. And so that's basically what you pay for. The other part that most franchisors offer is the advertising, which they do a tremendous job doing. They've been doing it for 20 years. We just had our 20th year anniversary, and they're good at it. And it drives customers to you automatically. So you can do it yourself. Don't get me wrong. It requires a lot more effort. There's a lot more risk, so you have to weigh your risk benefit. Do you want to assume all that risk early and, or do you want to have low risk and go that route? And the franchise, and that's why most people go into franchises. because it's low risk. They're proven if you do your homework, and the risk is relatively low. Sure, your royalty payments is something that could be in your pocket versus paying to the franchisor, but hey, you got to weigh the risk benefit.
Yeah, I definitely have heard, several benefits of going into franchise. And the main thing that I've heard was you're really buying into the system. And
Yes.
they have that system already set up, and you don't have to, figure it out. You can just get up and running. And I guess that's kind of the pro of that approach,
Yeah.
and taking it to buying that system.
Right. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right. Now, I will tell you this, just to kind of share with you, I am an owner of a home care agency. And so I know that there are several home care franchises.
Mm-hmm.
And for me personally, I decided to go the route of trying to start it on my own. And so, definitely, for my listeners, if you go the franchise route, you do have those systems in place, and the learning curve is much less versus when you go at it your own, like I did. I will say there were tons of things that I had to do myself, and systems I had to try to work through and to put in place to make it work. So that's definitely awesome, of all the pros and cons of owning a franchise, and to be able to get up and running. So thank you, Rick. That's definitely great for sharing that information to my audience. So along the entrepreneurial journey, a lot of times when we get started, we're faced with a lot of challenges. So if you can, I know it hasn't just been a bed of roses for you. Can you just tell me just any of your biggest challenges or disappointments as you started down this journey in entrepreneurship?
Well, fortunately, we haven't had any major disappointments. The biggest challenge we had was taking over a business that was currently in business. And anytime you assume the helm, and you've got staff in place and you've got systems in place, that transition period is a risky time to manage, and it's a challenge. It could literally fold, or it could go. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to be a master of change, and you've got to explain it to those employees, and which we did. And I had a lot of experience doing that from my previous jobs and takeovers and mergers. And, that was the biggest challenge, was trying to keep that revenue stream going, not have a tremendous amount of staff overturn, and then grow. So it was very challenging. The first, I would say 18 months was an extreme challenge. Okay. And we were fortunate to make it through that. We haven't had a lot of disappointments. We always set goals that are relatively higher than we probably can obtain. And, you're used to that. So go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, just for anybody that's listening now, if they were, thinking about purchasing a business and it already had a team in place, is there anything that you would recommend for them to kind of help make that transition? Is there anything that you learned from that you would say, hey, I would do this differently?
Well, I don't know differently, but I will say there are a lot of books out there that you need to, and I don't remember them at the time. I can certainly get those to you, that we went through and had the opportunity. But managing changing paradigms, when you're either starting a new business or buying a business from anyone, is a critical point in the process. And so you've got to be good at it. You can't afford to make any mistakes. Mm-hmm. And I won't go into all the details and what that means, but there are a lot of books out there. There's a lot of things you need to look at in order to not make a big mistake that might cost you your business.
Right.
So
okay,
I would strongly recommend doing a lot of research in that area.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, thank you. So I know you said you've been in business probably about 5 to 6 years now. And I like this question that I call is our big shift moment in our business. So, I know you were taking over a prior business, but I know at some point in time, you experienced something or learned something that really just helped shift your business to another level. With that, I call that our aha moment or our big shift moment. Can you just tell us about that time?
Yeah, for me, it was really a staffing issue. It's easy to look at short term, um, revenue stream, and profit margins. But for me, at some point, I looked at it and I go, it might be smart to not have so much, to have a good revenue stream, but not have the margins as high as they were. In other words, put a little bit more back into the business.
Okay.
And so we did. And, at that point we were like, wow, that's a big chunk. However, long term, it's paying off.
Mm.
From a mom and pop shop to a manager, assistant manager, 2 or 3 inspectors, the quality of product has improved. The time that allows me to do other things, uh, to look forward instead of day-to-day operations. So the investment is definitely worth it. And at first, you can't see that because you're just like, sort of like elementary school. But then after a while, you go back and it's sort of like going straight to college. You go, wait a minute now, this can be much more efficient. Employee assimilation could be better,
Mhm.
training, etc. We just need to put forth a little more resources into it, and it's going to pay off in the long run. And it has. The
So
last couple of
was
years,
this
it's got a lot better.
was this like reinvesting in the people or in the
Yeah,
training? Or
everything.
okay.
More trainers, more just more internal staffing. Period.
Mm.
Yeah, and our growth rate is triple what it was. So, like I said, we started out a little less than 200 customers. We're almost 600 now, so we've tripled that in
Wow.
just a few years. And this at this rate, we'll be at our goals where we want to be. So,
Well, Memphis Go Getters, I think that's definitely a key lesson there is to just reinvest in your business for the long term, as Rick has explained there. And he's seen tremendous growth, and he's attributing that to, once again, planting the seed, reinvesting in his people and systems and so forth. So, no, that is awesome and a great lesson that we all should know and to learn for our own businesses. So I know you have a lot going on right now. It sounds like you've had tremendous growth in your business. So if you can tell me, what are you most excited about today in your business?
well, right now it's just the growth potential. It's like when you start growing at this rate, it grows exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
You have people such as yourself seeking you out. Um, Memphis Success. Just we've got Memphis Most. We've got TV stations, wanting interviews. It just seems like once you reach a certain point, it just starts growing. It can grow really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just excited about the potential for growth right now. We've got a good solid base. It covers everything we need. We're just looking forward now and looking for growth. We don't want to grow too fast. I always caution a lot of young business owners that you don't want to grow too fast. It's tempting, but you've got to grow, at the proper rate. And that it depends on what kind of business you're in. But you can grow too fast. It's very. I don't know, Darnell, if you've experienced that, but
I
you
definitely
can.
have.
You can, and it can. It can be detrimental to a certain degree and
Yeah,
cause a lot of stress.
I will say, for us, for my business, when we started to grow, and our business, pretty much doubled in time. And I was telling my team we cannot operate and do the same things, back when we only had X amount of clients, and now we've doubled that. So our systems, our processes, has had to change. Plus, we had to hire additional people. We needed to get more equipment. And so, yes, I guess we were calling it our growing pains. And, luckily we were able to get over that. And then also, I realized a lot of companies, they want to grow fast, but they got to make sure that they have the capital in place. Especially as you're paying people out in the service industry, you need to understand the timing of when you get paid, so you don't run out of cash. As you try to grow fast. So, no, yeah, definitely, I've experienced those growth pains and tried to manage through it.
And that's a great point. Cash flow is so critical, and you've got to have your finger on the pulse every day on your cash flow. And it was just funny. I was looking at it today. Our revenue, we're hitting record weeks, and
that's great.
But on the other hand, our margins are somewhat less. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of like, you don't want to get the cart before the horse. In other words, you could generate a lot of revenue, but you can make less money too.
Right.
So for the company, not for yourself. So you have to, every day I get up at 5:00. I'm at the office at 6:30, but that hour and a half, I'm sitting there trying to figure out what that balance should be. Before I, in my quiet time, because I strongly encourage everybody to have a quiet time. And before everybody comes in the office and things get ginning, so to speak, man, you need to sit down and look at that and look at where are we? Because you can generate a heck of a lot of revenue, but you may not make any more. You may make less money for the company. So you got to be careful.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's definitely important to monitor that cash flow. In business, I've heard cash is king. So, and then especially as you mentioned, really monitoring those margins, those profit margins, and what you're doing. So, tell me this. People try to lay out a 3 to 5 year plan. So what is your long-term vision for the cleaning authority?
Well, it's kind of a two-pronged approach for me personally. The short part of that is I have been approached by the franchisor, and you'll get this as a franchisee in some cases. But anyway, I have been asked, because of the experiences that I've had in the past prior to this, of wanting me to come inside and be what they call an operations manager, where you not only have your franchise and you run that, but you also go around and help new franchisees. And it's a salaried position with the corporation, and it's time away from home and travel, and all the reasons that I didn't want to be in corporate America. They're asking me now to come back and do that. So it's something I'm 57. I'm not old. Something I'm thinking about. I'm on an advisory board now. I've been on it for 2 years. But they want me to delve into it a little bit deeper, and we're looking at that. So short term, long term, that's a possibility. Long term, and it's always been our long term goal, is to be the number one cleaning service in this part of the world in West Tennessee. The business model that I followed from the beginning was the Service Master business model, which is basically have a diversified cleanings or service company, and i.e. they have got a great business model, and it's been very successful. They've gotten into the residential cleaning service, they've gotten into the restoration cleaning service, they've gotten into the lawn care business. So you can become a service company within the service industry and provide a lot of different services. It just depends on how much you want to take on. And that's always been our long-term goal, is to, build this into that type of business model and diversify into other areas. I used to be in clean pools for a living, when I was in college. We're we're thinking about possibly pool cleaning services, carpet cleaning services. There's a lot of different parts to cleaning in that business model that we want to go into over time. If it's profitable.
Okay.
If it's not, we won't do it.
Right. Well, no, that definitely makes sense to kind of expand your offerings and your services, and especially since you have the team already in place, the infrastructure and the systems in place. I can definitely foresee it being easy to kind of expand into those other areas. So, yeah, that definitely makes sense, and I know you guys can do it. So I just want to shift gears and now move into what I call our lightning round of questions. Was anything holding you back from becoming an entrepreneur?
No, I've had all the corporate America I could stand, and I was ready to. I've been ready for a long time, and I've said this several times. I wish I would have done it a long time ago. Be honest with you, and I've got brothers and sisters and brother-in-laws, and they've always owned their own business, and they've always done a lot better than I did. Now, let me back up. I shouldn't say that in that respect, because I have a lot of the companies that I work for. We had pension plans, have a lot of pension, and when I'm eligible at 65, I'm going to have more than I'll ever need for the rest of my life and my wife's life. So it's but that doesn't. No company does that anymore. So. But then I look at my brothers and sisters and brother-in-laws who always had their own business, and they've done great. So it's just the excitement,
Right.
It's fun, and I wish I would have done it a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what is the best advice you've ever received?
Good question. The best advice that I've ever received. And I guess it boils down to what I've done most of my life, and that's basically manage people. Is just treat others as you would want to be treated, and be honest and forthright with people. Managing people. The human body is the most complicated piece of machinery out there, and to manage people and be successful at it, you got to understand them, and you got to spend time with them. You got to get down to their level. I've managed everything from MBA execs from Wharton to people that don't have a high school degree, and there's no difference. You got to treat people with respect, dignity. You got to give them the tools they need, and then you got to coach them along the way. And I've had, fortunately, leaders that have taught me that over the years, and that's the best advice I've ever gotten, and that's what I follow.
Yeah, I definitely one thing that I found that a lot of people don't realize is you're really in the people business. Meaning you have your employees that you have to manage and work with and to inspire and motivate them. And then at the same time, you have your clients and your customers, where you need to maintain relationships and build relationships with them. And so a lot of times people think, hey, all I have to do is this and that and really not have to work with people.
Yeah.
But you are in the people business regardless of what you're doing. And that's something that you got to realize how to work with people to get the job done. So that's definitely great advice there.
Well, I don't know any business that if you're not good in the people business, you're not going to be successful. I do all my in-home estimates, as you know. I meet every customer that I've ever had personally, and I'll always do that. I can honestly say I've met every customer. I'm sure I could hire a sales force; they could go out there and do it, but I don't. So I'm people as far as customers. Absolutely, I totally agree. You've got to have a relationship with them, and when I call them, for whatever reason, they know me. They know my face. They see me, and then it's the employees. Man, listen, in this business, these people have had tough lives, and you got to help them. You got to go above and beyond what's the basic thing. You got to show true interest and be involved. And if you do that, I mean, like right now, I have cameras at my office, and I'm sitting there watching them, and they're still there, washing rags, getting ready for tomorrow. They're not getting paid for it. Okay, they're doing it just because they love the company, period, the end.
Wow.
And that's when you've hit pay dirt, so to speak, and you can walk away at the end of the day and they're still there plugging away. It says a lot for I don't mean this, it just says a lot for your ability to manage people. If you can get them to do that, you're pretty good.
Right. Well, great. So my next question is, what do you read, watch, or listen to that keeps you inspired and motivated?
Well, we have a great system within our franchise where we can interact with others and others that have been in the business a lot longer than me. And so we do a lot of communication. I can't honestly say that I do as much reading as I used to, as far as what management books I've read, leadership books, etc. And I've read a ton of them and been through, I can't tell you how many countless hours of training and consulting. And it's really just one-on-one interaction is what motivates me to get to we had an annual meeting 3 weeks ago in Baltimore, and just interact and hear people that have the same problems you have on a day-to-day basis. You come home and you're refreshed, like, wow, so it's not so bad.
I'm not alone.
I'm not alone. I mean, you know what? It ain't so bad. So that's what inspires me is, hey, I must be doing something right because they have the same problems I have.
Right.
and they've got 1,200 customers doing $2.5 million a year. So
oh, wow.
I must be doing okay.
So I know we were briefly talking about systems that I guess is probably proprietary to the franchise, but are there any other online tools or websites or applications that helps you be more productive?
Yeah, just in the last couple of years, we've really, I won't say totally shifted, but we have put a lot of emphasis on our internet and website marketing, and we contract with a company called Scorpion, and they really have, and that's where it's fueled a lot of our growth. They're good at what they do. They're driving business beyond what we can handle, as a matter of fact, and
that's a good thing, I guess.
it's a great thing, and they're real easy to work with. So I would encourage anybody that's out there trying to start a business or go into a business is to really search out those consulting type companies that can manage that for you, because we can all do it. I mean, I'm a tech dude, I'm into it, but these people are so much better at it than I could be. And they do such a good job, and it's just time off your plate. And so it's been good for me.
So I guess I had a question, and this kind of goes back to the franchisee question. So you were just giving the example how you utilize this company to try to drive leads to your business. Now, is it specifically for your particular franchise, or is it for is this something as a whole under the Cleaning Authority?
No, this is just for me.
Okay.
So
you're able to kind of do other things.
Correct.
Okay.
We have we can do anything. Like I said earlier, I mean, TV, radio, we could do whatever we want to do.
Okay.
I just felt like, with this day and time and that technology and the mobility of it, and, the data they're showing me every week of who searches, how many calls I get, how many calls to appointments I get, how many appointments to sales that I convert, it's phenomenal what these people are able to do. And it's all about doing it on your phone now. I mean, right. if you're not into that mode with your advertising and spending your resources in that area, you're way behind. You need to get into that heavy.
Yeah, the internet marketing, I think, is definitely key nowadays, because it's very specific to really being targeted to those particular customers that you're trying to target, where radio and TV is still kind of shotgun blast and hoping you hit the right person. But
yeah, I mean, the pull through is tremendous. it's like I invested in a company years ago, Media 25. I won't go into the details, but the guy that he was a marketing at Wiz, and we went through the exercise of marketing and what does that mean, and advertising, really not marketing. How many times do you see a billboard? Once. You see it once going to work. You can't see it coming back in the other direction. How many times do you read a magazine? Once. You never read it twice. So, there's a lot of things about advertising you got to understand, and it's very complicated. But, things have changed, and it's all the pull through from the internet, from the web, is so much more efficient as opposed to even mailing, which we do a lot of. It's a franchise requirement, and we get a lot of business that way. Don't get me wrong, but this internet pull through is tremendous. It's almost 80%.
I think I may have got one of your direct mails.
Oh, you did. I can guarantee it. I mail out about 6,000 a week.
Wow, because I was just thinking, like when you said mailing, it started to make me think, well, how did I even find out about the Cleaning Authority? So I think, obviously those direct mails are working in some sense.
They have worked. They've been tremendous. It's built the majority of our business. We continue to do it. We mail out about 6,000 a week.
Wow.
We spend well over $100,000 a year in just mailing. So.
Oh my God! Wow. Yep. Wow. So let me ask you this: is there a particular book you would recommend for our listeners, or anything that just comes to your mind that you may have read in the past?
I've read so many, and I thought about that, and I can't really recommend any because I haven't read them in so long.
Okay.
I've been so wrapped up doing what I'm doing. Back in the corporate days, it was a lot of books about paradigm shifts, trying to stay ahead of the curve, and that's when everything was changing. We thought rapidly at the time. Now it's light speed.
Right.
It's like one day you're doing this, tomorrow it's obsolete.
Okay.
You can't even read a book and stay ahead of it because by the time you finish reading, it's obsolete. So it's kind of hard. I think personally, perusing the internet and just looking to see, Googling stuff and just reading books to me is a thing of the past. Just Googling and what's going on and type in industries and look at what you're interested in. You can learn so much faster that way than, reading books like we used to. And I don't mean to demean or mean that reading books is a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I've read a million of them. But I can get so much more off the internet so much faster now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I do. I still read books, but I will say majority of my time during the day, I am reading articles online.
Yeah.
And, getting updated quickly on just the latest trends and
joining groups like on LinkedIn. We've got a lot of groups in the cleaning industry on LinkedIn and things, and just questions and talking to your peers and learning from the consultants that are in that group. And it just, I could go out and find a book, read it, and implement all that, or I could join these chat rooms and these groups, and it's just unlimited. So it's really unlimited. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So Memphis Go-Getters, there's definitely books out there, but then there's also other avenues to get information faster online through different LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups. Really, find that niche that you're in and try to find those groups online or find publications that have articles online on those particular topics that you're interested in. So, what is your favorite success quote?
Oh man, I don't really have one. I'm going to be up front with you. A quote to me, I've heard so many, and I don't really know of one that just comes off the top of my head as being the most important thing that I've ever heard.
Okay.
I know that I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of very important people, and I've talked to them personally. And it's not necessarily a quote. It's just a belief that, the bottom line is, in any entrepreneur, is your business is only worth as much as you put into it. Okay. That's somebody told me that a long time ago. You can put, take off on a Friday or, show up late on a Monday. But if you're the first person there every day and the last person to leave every day, that is why your company's going to be successful. Because if they see you working hard, they're going to work hard. They see you're committed, they're going to be committed. You've got to be the leader. Okay. I'm there an hour, like I said, before they even show up. And I'm usually there an hour after they leave every day, Monday through Friday. We don't work on weekends. And they see that. And you've got to be the person that they have to see that. You can't talk it. You got to walk it.
Wow. I love that. Okay. Hey, that was better than a success quote.
Well, maybe so. That's just true experience.
So, Rick, I call this one of our tougher questions. But if you were to start over again, and if you had $100 to spend to be a successful entrepreneur, and this $100 really represents time. So once again, you're starting over, and this is really geared to just kind of advise those listeners right now who are right at the beginning of trying to get their business started. And $100 represents time. How would you invest this money? One area is leadership. The second area is hustle. The third area is education. And the fourth area is networking. So where would you spend your time / your money in those 4 areas?
Yeah, I used to say years ago it was hustle and leadership, but now it's networking from my perspective. Just like you and I having this conversation right now with your group, with your followers, it's just one more step in the networking concept.
Okay.
You cannot be successful today in business without networking. Okay. The day in the beginning, I signed up with CryLike, the largest realtor in the area, as a preferred cleaner. You had to pay for it. You had to interview for it. You had to be, accepted. But it was networking. Okay. I went to all the regional meetings. I met all the realtors. It's just constantly networking is the only way, I think, to grow your business, fast. Okay. And it's all about growth. It's all about growth.
So would you put $100 into networking?
I would. I'd put every bit of it. If I could find more networks to get involved with, like I said, whether it's on the internet or whether it's locally or whether it's regionally, I would invest in networking, period.
Okay. Well,
and that may be just toward, it's my type of business in the service industry. It's probably more geared toward networking.
Right.
It may be different in other types of businesses, but man, you've got to know what's going on out there from a competitive perspective, from an opportunity perspective. And the only way to do that is to get in these networks and network.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I totally agree. It's so important to, once again, build those relationships and allow people to know that you even have a business, and as well at the same time look for ways where you can help them achieve their goals. And so, so it can be a win-win situation as you go out there and networking. So, yeah, networking is definitely very important to the success of your business. And once again, I always hear these little phrases, but I heard someone say, your network equals your net worth. So
that's a good one.
So definitely, guys, Memphis Go-Getters, definitely look to build your network. Look for opportunities to serve first. I would definitely suggest look for ways where you can help somebody first before you start looking to get assistance. And a lot of times when you look to help someone first, when those times come up, people will go above and beyond to help you. So, Rick, I'm kind of at our last couple of questions to ask you. Now, what does Memphis success mean to you?
Well, For me, yeah. I mean, having a successful business is great, but more so for me is being a productive society and I'm a member of society. I mean, being part of groups, but serving on the board, of anything, being on a committee, it's all about our community and making it better. Because if our community improves, crime goes down, opportunities come into the city, there's more jobs. So you've got to be a part of it. You can't just be a bystander. You got to be a part of the community. I'm fortunate to serve on the board of a couple of companies, and you've got to get involved with the city and be a part of it. I know our church, Hope, we do a lot of inner city things, and just to be able to support all that, and it's going to come back to you as a business owner one way or another. I'm just telling you. So you got to be involved with the community. You got to get involved.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much. And then, if you can, please tell my Memphis Go-Getters who may need your service how they can find out more about you and your business.
Yeah, well, we're easy to find. You can always Google the Cleaning Authority Memphis, and you'll see our website. It comes right up. You can always reach us here. We have local numbers. 901-751-9927 is the local number. If we can't answer, it'll roll up to the call center. We'll call you right back. We have a full-time call center. We're on Facebook. You can always find us on Facebook. Just look for the Cleaning Authority Memphis there. So really, any avenue that you have access to, you can always look for Memphis, the Cleaning Authority, and find us.
Awesome. Thank you very much. You shared tons of information regarding franchising and just networking and just so much valuable tips. I really appreciate you being on the show. Memphis Go-Getters, visit memphissuccess.com. Look for Rick Roland with the Cleaning Authority. You will find the show notes here, just links to some of the information that he shared. Also, sign up and become a Memphis Go-Getter and receive all of our free tips and information and be updated on all of the latest interviews that come out. And as always, Memphis Go-Getters, dream big, take action, and make money.
Thank you for listening to Memphis Success, the voice of Memphis entrepreneurs. Sign up now at memphissuccess.com to become a Memphis Go-Getter and receive all the latest information and free gifts. Because your success is Memphis Success.